Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Sunday, February 28th, 2016. Phil here in the Lynn-Life, walks with lions in the Jamie Body Mind, other teammates in other dimensions, most of us in the subatomic, and most of us in the physical. The most recent overnight was filled with a lot of interesting events that we haven't yet finished gaining understanding about and acting upon. It's possible that will be the focus of the formally videoed aspects of today's efforts, but it's also possible the work will head in another direction. We're using the foundational intention, which is to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions to manifest the divine plan. The data very clearly showing what's needed is to provide a collective restart, because what's under the band-aid, the hidden truth for almost everyone is, I don't want to do it. I don't want to live my soul plan, and you can't make me. And that's true, and this is why we need to begin again. With that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. Someone with kind of a feel of inquisition is pointing down through our pillar with a harsh tone that I really don't warm up to very quickly.
I feel that.
What do I know? I notice this tone with people oftentimes when they are unwilling to look at their own part in a disaster and are instead looking for somebody to blame.
Right. Whose fault is this?
Whose fault is this? And that's exactly the tone that this person has. And I know what the person is saying, but I also hear that tone.
That's true.
They're talking about Carter, Jimmy Carter. We originally called him Ratu, and then we called him Jimmy Carter, and that was too long, so we started to call him Jimmy, but that was giving him the wrong childish feel, so now we're trying to call him Carter, seeing if there's some way we can
call him into his greatness.
Call him into his greatness, and Carter is in the approach tunnel aspect of wanting to enter the Search for Truth facilities, and he hasn't yet really acknowledged his big bad mistake.
That's true.
And that's a prerequisite to walking into the Search for Truth pillar. When you're in a leadership position, when you have a named role, you need to acknowledge your errors before coming in the door. You can't just waltz in like somebody else. You aren't somebody else.
That's true.
And that's the point that that person up there is making, and it's a valid point, and I agree with that, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that this person up here needs to look at the bigger picture, like who blew out the back wall of the control zone overnight, and what was your part in that?
Oh, that's true.
I don't want to talk about that. Yes, we didn't think you would.
Right, this isn't about me.
It is, though.
I have really pain pressure right at the top of the head.
Let's just do the work.
Clear up the lies.
Clear up the lies from that poison gas zone where Aurelus and Kosa are working.
Pump it up to the desks of adults who should be taking action.
Higher, past that person. That person, whoever was talking to us, seems to now be wanting to get his card stamped and get out of here.
That's true.
That doesn't look like you had good intent, friend. What was your part in that overnight event? Hold on, don't let that guy go.
No.
What do I know? I know that when we have an emotional response of irritation about something that someone else is doing, 100% of the time, not 99% of the time, 100% of the time what's going on is that we ourselves are doing something that's identical in vibrational tone.
That's true.
And we don't want to acknowledge our error, and so Source is presenting it to us with someone else's face on it so we can see how reprehensible or repulsive our actions actually are.
That's true.
And then make a different choice about what we're doing. And if that's not what's going on for this fellow, I don't know what is.
That's true.
Is he familiar to you at all?
I've been trying to get a name or face, and I don't recognize this guy.
I don't know this guy.
I don't even know this guy.
No.
he just feels like a generic big
Jerk.
person. Jerk.
A generic jerk.
Who's clearly very upset.
And who clearly had something to do with blowing out the back wall.
That's true.
And the back wall blowout, based on his reaction, was not something good. We really have been trying to work with that and say, well, first things first, maybe we're wrong about this, maybe this is something good, let's look at it that way, maybe this is something we're supposed to do something with. But it does seem to be what it seems to be, which is someone trying to break into the control zone of the Search for Truth pillar. What do I know? Almost always that means they're trying to stop the search for truth at any cost.
That's true.
Stop doing that. Stop looking for what's really going on. Just accept the status quo like everybody else does. Why don't you just accept it?
Right.
Well, because it isn't true. We can tell it's not true. Why would we accept a lie?
Why would we accept a lie?
To fit in with everybody else. To fit in and to get people to like us.
And because it's easy.
Because it's easy. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
That's repulsive. It's reprehensible, actually, once we reach a certain point in our development and once we have the assignment to turn around and help someone, to be one of those people that makes a change, to not fulfill our responsibility is really disgusting.
That's true. Let's just do the work.
Well, what is the work, though? Let's just live stream this up. Here's what's going on. Attempt to live stream it up as high as we can get. It's helpful to try a question that will get response. How high must we reach to connect with a presence with enough integrity to manifest the divine plan? There's somebody up there who believes he or she has enough integrity to manifest the divine plan.
That's true. There are multiple somebodies.
Right. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But they believe they do.
That's true.
Okay, let's live stream it up to them. So here's what's been happening in the last, we'll say, 18 hours. Here's what's been happening in the last 18 hours. Will you help us? I feel some hands that actually feel like they have some level of intent to help.
That's true.
Pulling up what looks like cut strands.
Or cut wires.
Something that was cut.
That's true.
Pulling it up in the back, and there's big sadness as this comes up.
That's
Often that indicates something that does need to be brought to light. It only goes up so far, though. This was what was happening in the overnight. I was trying things like this. I already tried things like this.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like it's actually going anywhere.
I've been down this road for 12 hours, and that's not working. We've already tried that. Let me just live stream up a little bit more in detail. Maybe you didn't see everything. Maybe you just read the headline and didn't think it was worth your while to read the rest of the article.
That could be.
But what you're doing, we already tried all that. That doesn't work. No, they've gone away.
Oh, that's why.
Live stream it up through the highest concentrations of truth and integrity that we're able to connect with right now, up through the reporting chain. Here's what's been happening down here in the subatomic this last 18 hours. Big pressure in the head.
That's true.
Now I have the sensation that our transmissions have broken out into deep space again.
I don't hear anything. It's very quiet.
Quiet. I hear probe and her beeping.
That's true.
It's peaceful out here.
That's true. Just moving up.
How high must we reach to connect with a working divine delivery system? As long as we're going in a completely straight line.
I don't think we are right now going in a straight line.
We need to be able to look like a laser light straight. Oh, there. Ooh, there we go. That's better. The instructions are, how high must we reach to connect with a working divine delivery system? We are not supposed to go veering off at any kind of diagonal. We take as our working theory that there actually isn't a working divine delivery system, and that our assignment is simply to reach as long as possible for another reason.
That's true.
And that hunt for the working divine delivery system is kind of like the carrot that will keep us moving forward.
That's true.
In the direction in which we need to head.
I don't know why the Wizard of Oz just came to mind, and I don't get what I'm supposed to get about that.
Well, what aspect?
I guess the carrots in that story were courage and the brain and the heart, and Dorothy wanted to go home. And that's what got them to go the distance. And in the end, they did actually get those things, I guess. Through the process of going the distance, they went through moments where, oh, now I have courage, and oh, now I have a heart. And I guess in the end, Dorothy did get to go home.
In the end, everyone wears white hats.
Yeah.
In the end, there is going to be an awakening. Source doesn't give up. In the end, there's an accounting.
That's true.
In the end, we all have to account for ourselves.
That's
what
true.
did we do and what didn't we do? The law of cause and effect is real and applies to everyone and everything. There's no escaping the consequences of our actions and our inactions, bad and good. And so when we keep going with good intention and courage and humility and faith and selflessness and integrity, there's not going to be a way to escape the good karma that comes with that. There isn't.
That's true.
That's not why we're doing this work, but that might be something that would help Carter.
That could be.
Because that isn't compelling to us over here, but it's compelling to someone.
That could be
Maybe
what
to
helps
Carter. Start stepping it up. Accrue an awful lot of good karma. It's the only way to overcome bad karma. We don't get to erase our actions from our permanent records, but we can overcome them by doing a lot more good.